Good morning. This morning I want to talk about a magazine that we have in Sussex called Sussex Style. It's an interesting magazine. It looks at all sorts of issues, mostly friendly issues. By that I mean it's not terribly controversial in the sense that it has a go at anything, but the articles and the information are terrific. But even more so, it's a beautifully laid out magazine. The photographs enhance the stories enormously. It's a glossy magazine, it's a quality magazine, and when they say Sussex Style, the magazine itself is stylish, and I would recommend that you actually buy it. It's a paid-for magazine, which means that when its circulation comes in, which is pretty good right across from Rye to the Hampshire border, Rye in the east, of course, and the Hampshire border in the west of Sussex. But it shows that it's a very appealing magazine, because not many people fork out for magazines nowadays. You can get so many of them free. Just shows you the depth and the quality of it. But the reason that I'm sort of talking about it, and perhaps a slight self-interest, is that I do write for it myself. But in writing for it, you come up with some interesting things about Sussex. And I was looking at the little village of Rodmell in researching an article, because Rodmell is known for Virginia Woolf, Monk's House, her writing, her suicide, which took place in this little village, which is about 3 miles from Lewes, perhaps not even 3 miles, 2 or 3 miles from Lewes. It's a beautiful village, thatched cottages, out of the buildings, not lots and lots that are listed. They're buildings that can never be knocked down. It's a Miss Marple should be seen riding through the streets on her bicycle as she goes to solve a crime. It's got a manor from King Harold and so on. But the interesting thing is that it has a cricket club, and the cricket club were immortalised by a writer, A.J. MacDonald, writing in the 1930s. And a book called England, There, England. And if you haven't ever read England, There, England, I recommend that you get it. It's still extant. You can still buy it on Amazon and so on and so forth. And it's all about somebody who is not English taking a look at the quirky nature of the English. And that was 100 years ago. And we haven't changed much, believe me, because if you read this, you'll recognise an awful lot of your neighbours and the people that you mix with. It's a wonderful book. But it describes a cricket match. And the cricket match was based, although it doesn't, it's a fictitious village in the book, it is actually at Rodmell, and the match did take place. And the pub is the Three Horseshoes in the book. That's fictitious. It actually is the Abergavenny Arms. And the Abergavenny Arms it still exists today, and it's still a good pub. And it actually raised some money by looking at its wishing well, and it sent a couple of blokes down who were very brave, and they went and they collected it after 20 years, anything that was in the bottom there, and amongst the stuff there was a coinage which came to £1,000. That £1,000 it divided between Rodmell Parish Council and the Lifeboat Association in Newhaven, and that's a very worthy cause, because quickly I want to tell you about that lifeboat. It was way ahead of its time. The lifeboat lifeboat service in Newhaven was started in 1802, and it was about 1818 or so before the National Lifeboat Association got going. And that lifeboat was triggered by a ship that it was a man of war. It was a British Navy ship that foundered on the rocks below Newhaven, and 105 souls were lost. And there is a monument in the cemetery. I think it's St Michael's Church in Newhaven, and it demonstrates and recalls what happened on that particular night. But that lifeboat went on to be one of the little ships. It went to Dieppe, it saved people, and it wasn't retired until 1959, and it is officially on the list of the little ships, the little boats, the small boats that went and saved the British Army, brought it back from Dieppe. So a wonderful, wonderful institution, the lifeboat in Newhaven. support it all you can, because it's still there, it's still excellent, it still does wonderful jobs, and on any time that there is any community fundraising stuff, the Lifeboat is there. So interesting. Sussex Star magazine, Newhaven, Lifeboat, Rodmell, cricket. That's an awful lot to get into 5 minutes, so I'm 7 seconds or 8 seconds over. So thanks very much for watching me this morning. Toodle pip.